A hush falls. The air thickens. The sun dips below the horizon, casting an orange glow that slowly fades into twilight. The cemetery, usually a place of quiet reflection, now feels heavy with an unspoken tension. The flag flutters gently, almost as if it too is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. A chill wind whispers through the national cemetery. Rows of white headstones stand like silent soldiers, casting long shadows in the fading light. Each stone tells a story, a life lived and lost, a sacrifice made for the greater good. The names etched into the marble are more than just letters. They are memories, legacies that continue to live on in the hearts of those who remember. Memorial Day, a day for remembrance, a day some believe the veil between life and death thins. It is a time when families gather to honor their loved ones, to place flowers and flags on graves, to share stories of bravery and sacrifice. The air is thick with emotion, a blend of pride and sorrow, as people come together to pay their respects. The scent of freshly turned earth lingers, a stark reminder of the sacrifices made. Each mound of soil represents a life cut short, a family forever changed. The earth seems to hold the weight of these sacrifices, absorbing the grief and the gratitude of those who visit. It is a solemn reminder that freedom is not free, that it comes at a great cost. But on this day, a different kind of sacrifice is about to unfold, a sacrifice born of darkness. As the night deepens, an unsettling feeling grows. The usual solemnity of the cemetery is replaced by a sense of foreboding. Whispers seem to float on the wind, carrying secrets and shadows. It is as if the very ground is preparing for something ominous, something that will leave a mark on this hallowed place. A sacrifice that would stain the memory of heroes. This is not the sacrifice of brave soldiers, but something darker, something that threatens to overshadow their legacy. The night is thick with anticipation, and the air feels charged with an unseen energy. As the clock ticks closer to midnight, the cemetery stands as a silent witness to the unfolding events, a place where the past and present collide in a moment of eerie significance. Sergeant Michael Harris, a decorated war hero, vanished. One moment he was placing flowers on his fallen comrade's grave, the next, gone. No witnesses, no trace, just an empty space where he once stood. Whispers ripple through the gathering crowd. Unease settles like a shroud. The festive atmosphere evaporates, replaced by a chilling dread. Something is wrong, terribly wrong. Days bled into weeks. The search for Sergeant Harris continued, but hope dwindled with each passing hour. The police were baffled. No leads, no suspects, just a void where a hero once stood. The town, once vibrant with life, now holds its breath. Fear, like a virus, spreads from neighbor to neighbor. Stories surface, whispers of other missing veterans vanishing without a trace on Memorial Day. A terrifying pattern is emerging. Then a break. A young boy playing in the cemetery stumbled upon a hidden alcove. There, carved into the back of a weathered headstone, was a cryptic message. They don't rest, they roam. The message, etched in a language old and forgotten, sends shivers down the spines of investigators. It was a message not meant for living eyes, a message that hinted at a truth too terrifying to comprehend. The townspeople, armed with torches and fear, searched the cemetery. They unearthed a hidden chamber beneath the hallowed ground. Inside, a scene of unspeakable horror. The remains of Sergeant Harris lay on a makeshift altar surrounded by symbols of a forgotten ritual. The air was thick with the stench of death and decay. The sacrifice had been made. Panic seized the town. The veil had been lifted, revealing a darkness beneath the surface of their peaceful community, an ancient evil awakened by the sacrifices of the innocent. The investigation intensified, but the authorities were out of their depth. This was beyond any crime they had ever encountered. This was something ancient, something evil, something hungry. Years passed. The town never truly recovered. The annual Memorial Day celebrations were now sombre affairs, overshadowed by the memory of Sergeant Harris and the chilling truth unearthed beneath the cemetery. The inscription on the hidden headstone echoed in the minds of the townspeople. They don't rest, they roam. A chilling reminder that some wounds never truly heal, and some sacrifices demand a terrible price. Deep in the Appalachian Mountains, miles from any town or road, stood a dilapidated cabin. It had been abandoned for decades, left to rot in the unforgiving embrace of nature. But on this Memorial Day weekend, it was occupied. A group of college friends, eager for a weekend escape, had rented the cabin. They were oblivious to its dark history, to the secrets hidden within its decaying walls. They were about to become unwilling participants in a horrifying ritual. As dusk settled, casting long, eerie shadows through the woods, a sense of unease fell upon the group. Laughter died in their throats, replaced by an unnerving silence. Then they found it. A tattered American flag, stained with what appeared to be blood, hung limply from a tree, just outside the cabin. The festive colours of red, white and blue were now a grotesque parody, a chilling omen of the horrors to come. As darkness enveloped the cabin, the screams began. The sun had barely dipped below the horizon when the first shriek shattered the stillness. It was a sound that sent shivers down the spine, a harbinger of the horrors that were about to unfold. The once serene and picturesque setting of the cabin was now cloaked in an ominous shadow, foretelling the terror that lay ahead. Blood-curdling cries pierced the night, echoing through the silent woods. The forest, which had always been a sanctuary of peace and tranquility, now seemed to come alive with malevolent intent. Each scream was more desperate than the last, a symphony of agony that reverberated through the trees, making the very ground tremble with fear. The darkness seemed to amplify the terror, making every sound more pronounced, every shadow more sinister. One by one, the friends were dragged into the darkness, their pleas for mercy swallowed by the ancient trees. The forest, with its gnarled branches and dense underbrush, became a labyrinth of despair. Each friend, once full of life and laughter, now faced an unimaginable fate. Their cries for help were met with silence, their struggles futile against the unseen force that pulled them deeper into the abyss. The trees, ancient and wise, seemed to watch with indifference, their twisted forms casting eerie shadows that danced in the moonlight. The cabin, once a place of laughter and camaraderie, was now a slaughterhouse. The walls, which had echoed with joyous conversations and the warmth of friendship, now bore witness to unspeakable horrors. Bloodstains marred the wooden floors, and the air was thick with the scent of death. The once cosy and inviting interior had transformed into a nightmarish scene, where every corner held a new terror, and every creak of the floorboards signalled impending doom. The very air inside grew thick with the metallic scent of blood and the stench of fear. It was a palpable presence, suffocating and inescapable. The fear was almost tangible, a living entity that wrapped itself around the survivors, squeezing the hope out of their hearts. Every breath was a struggle, every heartbeat a reminder of the fragile line between life and death. The cabin had become a prison, its walls closing in, trapping the remaining friends in a nightmare from which there was no escape. Something evil had awakened in the woods, something fueled by the sacrifices of the living. It was an ancient force, a malevolent entity that had lain dormant for centuries, waiting for the right moment to rise. The sacrifices had given it strength, and now it roamed the forest, seeking more souls to claim. The friends, once so full of life and dreams, were now mere offerings to this dark power. The woods, once a place of beauty and wonder, had become a realm of terror, where the line between the living and the dead was blurred, and the only certainty was the presence of an unspeakable evil. When dawn broke, the cabin stood silent. The first light of day cast long shadows across the clearing, illuminating the eerie structure that had stood there for decades. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, as if the very forest held its breath, waiting for something to happen. The cabin, with its weathered wood and broken windows, seemed to whisper secrets of the past, secrets that were better left forgotten. It was a place where time stood still, where the horrors of yesterday lingered just beneath the surface. The blood-soaked flag still hung limply from the tree, a gruesome testament to the horrors that had unfolded. It fluttered weakly in the morning breeze, a stark contrast to the serene beauty of the sunrise. The flag, once a symbol of pride and unity, now served as a grim reminder of the violence and terror that had taken place. Each stain, each tear in the fabric told a story of pain and suffering, of lives lost and dreams shattered. It was a haunting relic of a night that would never be forgotten. The friends were never seen again, their fates forever entwined with the dark legacy of the cabin in the woods. They had come seeking adventure, a weekend getaway to escape the pressures of everyday life. But what they found was something far more sinister. The forest, with its dense undergrowth and towering trees, seemed to swallow them whole, leaving no trace of their existence. Their laughter, their hopes, their very essence were consumed by the darkness that lurked within the cabin's walls. The legend of their disappearance grew with each passing year, a chilling tale that kept the locals away. Memorial Day, a day for remembrance, a day to honor those who had sacrificed so much, to reflect on the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. For many, it was a time of solemn reflection, a moment to pay tribute to the fallen. But for those who knew the story of the cabin, it was also a day of fear. A day when the past seemed to come alive, when the boundary between the living and the dead grew thin. It was a day when the memories of that fateful night were impossible to ignore. A day some believe the veil between life and death thins. On Memorial Day, the air seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, as if the spirits of the departed were reaching out from beyond the grave. The forest, usually so full of life, felt empty and desolate, a place where the living dared not tread. The cabin, with its dark history, became a focal point for this eerie phenomenon. It was said that on this day, the spirits of the lost friends could be seen wandering the woods, their ghostly forms a reminder of the tragedy that had befallen them. But on this day, the veil had been ripped asunder, unleashing an evil that would forever haunt the woods, a chilling reminder that some horrors never truly die. The forest seemed to come alive with a malevolent force, a darkness that seeped into every corner, every shadow. The cabin, once a place of refuge, had become a beacon for this evil, drawing it in and amplifying its power. The locals spoke of strange noises, of whispers in the night, of eyes watching from the darkness. It was a place where the past and present collided, where the horrors of yesterday refused to be forgotten. The cabin in the woods stood as a testament to the enduring power of fear, a place where the line between reality and nightmare was forever blurred.